Actually, I'll throw that in there. That's a really excellent reminder, all of us. When we go out and we have a frustrating situation, let's do it. Just check in with yourself before you walk through the door. Maybe you went to the grocery store and it's horrible. Maybe you went out to work, a meeting. Maybe you went out and you went and visited your mom, and my goodness, it was just drama and chaos and mayhem and stress. Before you walk in and spread it, check in with yourself, vent a little bit in the car or whatever, then go in. Great reminder. Okay, go.
Okay. So I'm just going to touch on the drama triangle because this plays into it. Besides all the factors we mentioned, there's a drama triangle that's constantly going on. There's three roles. That's why it's a triangle: persecutor, victim, and rescuer. Now, my key to this is that I am trying to regularly just pluck us up and take us out of the drama triangle. I am not going to get involved in one of those roles. Now, if you are playing one of those roles, if you're coming in and rescuing a child from being a victim or persecuting a child by punishing them for being a persecutor or whatever, you're just jumping into the drama triangle. Don't do that. Move from the drama triangle into the pyramid of peace. I know they're the same shape, but they're different. So you want to move into the pyramid of peace. And ultimately, we're going to actually do an entire training on the pyramid of peace. We're going to talk about proactive parenting because I feel like too many people parent reactively. They only respond to the things that go wrong rather than proactively taking action that just helps things go right most of the time. So we're going to talk about that in another session. But we want to move from the drama triangle into the pyramid of peace. And essentially, that's stepping out of one of those roles and even pulling your kids out of those roles and moving into helping things go right, which is what we're going to quickly talk about here as dive into more in another time. So there's going to be a 3-part strategy to ending sibling fights. So this is like the tools, right? We've talked about the framework and reframing it and like why it happens, but now this is ending it. The first one, of course, we've already hinted at, is regulating yourself. Greg just gave a perfect example. You come home, you're frustrated, you're irritated. Don't just go storming through the door and yelling at everyone. Take a minute to regulate yourself and be prepared. I do this every time I come home from a trip. Greg and I will go on a trip. We went to London a couple weeks ago for a wedding. Every time I mentally prepare myself to reintegrate with the kids and the family. Because no matter what's happened, I know there's going to be some sort of chaos and everybody's going to want more attention from me, which is what I want. I don't want them to me get home and be like, I don't care about you, mom. You were gone. Doesn't
Didn't
matter.
even notice.
Didn't even notice. I want them to want more attention from me. And so I prepare myself to give that to them. And we can do that, not just when we go on a trip, but every time we go away or every day, right? We prepare.
Turns
Okay. So part of regulating yourself is, of course, like Greg always says, you can't draw from an empty well. You can't lead where you haven't gone. You
can't
literally
give.
can't give what you don't have. You literally can't teach them the tools unless you know the tools, unless you have the tools. You have to practice on yourself. And then you know how to teach them and what to tell them because you're like, I've done it. Right? You also can't stop a fight by fighting, right? Or by yelling. That doesn't solve the problem. So you have to practice, like we already said, bringing that calming influence. That is our job as the parents, as the adults, to bring the calming presence and the calming influence. Now, step number 2 here, we have talked about this before, but I'm re-emphasizing it here because it's that important. When emotions are high, we focus on co-regulation, not on disciplining or teaching. You cannot discipline and you cannot teach your kids when their emotions are high. So if emotions are high, which if they're fighting, that's probably the case, you come in with co-regulation and validation. That's it. That's it. Co-regulation and validation. For me, that looks like, first of all, I do not take sides. I fully believe, like I'm telling you, I fully believe this. Both are guilty, meaning that they both played a role in causing the fight. There's not one
No,
innocent person and one
not
not guilty in a bad
I don't
way.
know, but sometimes a sibling will just be like, you know what? I'm gonna go over there and poke them in the eye.
I
Boys,
think that that's less rare. It can happen, yes. I personally think it's less rare. In fact, I see that,
never been a little boy.
but I'm
It's there, it's
like
like
little
you
boys.
have a slingshot and there's a target unprovoked.
Yes,
It can happen.
but I do fully believe that often there has been some sort of provocation, even if it was maybe days before. It's always connected. There's always a connection somehow. So I don't believe that, for one, that every incident is isolated. It's connected to all the other incidents before it and all the other things that happened before it, including how they woke up and what they ate and if they didn't eat. And like it's all interconnected. So what I'm saying when I say I don't pick sides is I go in assuming that there's something each of them can learn and each of them can improve on. And I focus on that rather than finding blame and administering punishment. But I also go in validating the feelings of both people involved. And I'm using two because it's generally two, but it can be more, right? So I will go in and say, yeah, you're right. That was rude. And yeah, you're right. That doesn't feel good. Yep. That was wrong. And that was wrong. So it's almost like I'm validating both of them for the way they feel in the moment, right? Now, I often will do this not by separating them or, making them go in different rooms. I like to go and put like an arm around both of them. Again, part of the co regulation. Touch is very important in co regulation. And while I'm putting my arm around them, I'm validating their emotions. And I'm also talking to them about how to calm down. First, let's calm down, then we can resolve the problem. First, let's take a deep breath, then we can talk about what happened. First, you have to stop crying so that I can understand what you're saying, right? So everything I'm not dismissing that we're going to solve it or find an answer or resolve the issue. I'm not doing that, but I'm teaching them that the first step is to calm down. Now, this is, of course, a key life skill. Like, how can any of us find solutions to any of our problems or resolve any of our conflicts if we don't first calm down? So that's why this is such an important key step.
And most of our kids learn this early on because when they were little and they get so upset, right? You guys know this with little ones. They're like so upset they can't even tell you the stop my lesson. And you're like, hold on, I can't even understand you. Like, take a deep breath so you can tell me. And in that, they calm down. And then they would tell me, oh, slow down again, take another breath. Tell me what's wrong. And so they were already learning to calm down when they were little, just so they could explain it. And I would listen to them and hold them. Okay, oh, we'll take care of it. Thank you for calming down. So they were learning to co-regulate and self-regulate early on when they're little.
Yes. But then the also another key to this is validating. Too often if we dismiss their emotion or tell them that they shouldn't feel that way, that is actually not helpful to the outcome we want to achieve. We want them to learn all of these skills of conflict resolution and managing emotions and processing emotions. But that only happens if we start by validating emotions. Because when we validate emotions, it's essentially like saying, you're normal, you're human, everyone feels like this at some point. Here's what you do about it. But if you dismiss those emotions, you're essentially saying, something's wrong with you, you're weird, you're a problem, you're broken, and then they never learn how to deal with or manage the emotions that come up. So we have to validate them.
Does that make sense, you guys? You with us on that one? Like, let's say you have a very intense emotion. You're feeling something massively, and I just walk up. I'm like, I don't feel that. Yeah, you're just making that up. You're like, "What are you talking about?" You're gonna disregard everything I'm saying because 'cause you're feeling it. It's so real for you, and
Mhm.
it's so big,
Yeah.
and you're like, stop. That's silly." And like, that doesn't help. It's very ineffective.
Yeah.
Actually, can I make a fun note on tact here? So we're saying something like, hey, go in and use touch for co-regulation. But you guys, there's an art and a science to it. So when I come out, I'm like, Rachel, it's okay. Just, you don't have to feel like that. You're like, well, that's weird.
Sometimes
Or,
with a little kid, though.
well, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's like from respect, I'm like, I'm like, hey, little guy, it's okay. Or yeah, Rachel used to come and rub my face. I'm like, if you rub my face again, I'm gonna break a hand. Right. So don't be patronizing. Like, okay, you can't be weird about it, right? Come on, just come in, you put a hand on the back or something, or just hold their arm, something natural, or arm around them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Don't be strange about it. Like, it's okay. You're okay. It's like, this is so weird. And they're like, this isn't working. Because you got to come back and like, we tried touch and co-regulation, but it wasn't working. It's like, yeah, don't poke them in the eyes. That's not going to help.
Exactly. Okay. So I would also say that it helps if you practice touching and cuddling and other things when they're not upset as well. Because otherwise they come to associate your touch with negative emotion and then they don't want it. Right. So we have to practice touching them during other times as well so they don't resist the touch because it only happens
Or,
when they're
or,
upset.
or subconsciously creates like, oh, I'm going to be upset all the time because that's when I get attention from my parents. Right. This has happened a ton where kids get sick and mom,
Or act
like,
out.
well, no, but like the sickness thing specifically, mom gives them so much time and attention and love, and it's so soft and sweet. And they're like, wow, I love being sick. I'm going to be sick all the time. And then you get these kids that are sick all the time because they can get attention from mom.
And it happens with the misbehavior too in some strange way. Kids
Absolutely.
will misbehave because that's when they get
Attention.
a parent's attention.
Yeah.
And so kids love us so much they would rather have our negative attention than no attention at all. Okay, so essentially we regulate ourselves first. We co-regulate with them. That means that we have to take them out of fight or flight mode because they can't learn anything from us if they're in fight or flight mode, which is where they are if emotions are high. So we have to bring the nervous system down. We have to settle it so that they're in a state to learn the skills to handle conflict. So once the emotions have calmed down, then we move toward the next step, which is repairing, teaching, training them, sometimes disciplining if necessary. No punishment is necessary. In fact, we're going to have a whole nother discussion, a separate one on stop punishing, start teaching, and talk about the power of natural consequences. But we go into this mode, step 3, once emotions are calm.